complex strategy development, organization, design, and transformation projects across the Middle East and Southeast Asia to deliver significant and tangible impact, not just for his clients, but also at the wider national level. His passion and commitment for providing the best value on all his projects acts as a key guiding principle for the entire office he works in. Prior to joining Arthur D. Little, he has also worked in Larsen and Toubro and also with the Indian Air Force. In addition to consulting, Thomas regularly teaches various management courses, international business strategy, family conglomerate strategy, and strategy consulting at different MBA schools across the globe. Outside work, he is a wonderful personality. He always is available for our alumni get-togethers, our programs, projects, and he's a well-wisher of everything we do. We welcome Thomas to this wonderful opportunity. This is a first of its kind under a new project we have launched. We call it Essech Talk. Essech is the school we studied. We are all part of the 1983 batch, and Thomas is one of our reasons of pride for Essech's 83, among many others in our group. We welcome Thomas. Welcome, Thomas, and welcome everyone who is participating in this wonderful initiative. Welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cherian. Yeah, these introductions sound too good. It puts a lot of pressure on you before even starting the discussion and the presentation. But again, thank you very much. I always find these type of interactions very, very useful. Especially, I'm sure that you will have a lot more questions, and in answering those questions, we all start learning a lot. Yeah. So I realized that we have around 20 participants, right? So the topic I wanted to cover today. You can hear me, right? All of you, I guess so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the topic that I'm trying to cover today is quite a vast topic, right? And I don't know the experience of some of you. Some of you I know for 20-25 years, so I can guess at what level you may understand the topic. But some of you are new to me, so I don't know at what level you may understand the topic I'm going to talk about. It is more about digitalization and the impact of digitalization and how I think the world is going to change with digitalization. And on top of the digitalization, there's a new concept that is coming up in the last few years with Metaverse, right? So Metaverse is almost an extension of the digitalization philosophy that is happening. So I'm trying to cover both topics today. We can have discussions even during the presentation. We don't have to wait till the end. That is my request, right? Because if there is a specific question, we can stop and discuss instead of going through the whole presentation and asking all the questions at the end, right? Any quick thoughts from anybody? Any specific things that you would like to hear, or I can start the presentation?
Please start, Kuruvilla. Then maybe halfway through we can right. Give an opportunity to anyone who wants to ask a question.
Okay, good. Yeah. So the first topic I'll talk about digitalization. I have also taken a very small case study that I did in Dubai to give you a context of how some of the thoughts are evolving. Because as a consultant, all these are coming through various assignments we have done, and we have done digitalization strategy in almost all sectors, many countries in GCC. And even the Metaverse, I was just telling Cherian and the people just before some of you joined that we just starting a project to do the whole Metaverse strategy for Bahrain as a country. So even the country digitalization and Metaverse strategy that we have started working on it. And so what I'm sharing are initial thoughts on this topic, right? The first point I wanted to think is that I wanted all of you to understand is I still feel that all of us are really underestimating the impact of digitalization, right? It is if all of us look back and think about when e-commerce was launched or internet was launched or Amazon was launched or Facebook was launched, I don't think we expected it to be the way it is today when it was launched. I think we all underestimated what can happen with online ordering and things. I think so, right? Similarly, I have a very strong view that even today we are underestimating the impact of digitalization and how significantly it can change the world going forward. And since we are underestimating, we may not be getting prepared for it. And it is better to be well prepared for these fundamental changes to happen, right? Some of you may have listened to some of the sessions I had, but one quick input is, as a fundamental premise, I would like to state that any time human intervention happens, it is a disturbance for business. If you can avoid human intervention, every business will technically do much, much better than what it is doing with human intervention. So I'm saying that everything cannot be replaced, but if anything in a business can be replaced, humans can be replaced, it will become significantly better and more efficient. And the savings that I have seen is to the tune of 30 to 40%. I repeat, any business, as much as you can replace human interventions with digitalization and automation, I can prove it to you, any business, you can save 30 to 40% of the cost or the value can be saved if you eliminate human intervention, right? It also means that human intervention should be used only for things that is not repetitive and predictable, because machines can kick in only when things are predictable or something is repetitive, or you can at least have artificial intelligence kicking in and doing things. So human intervention cannot be replaced continuously or for all items. It can be replaced only with things that is repetitive and predictable. And it is very important for us to understand that when we are planning our lives and business, primarily on business, that there are fundamental changes that are happening that we need to be aware of, right? One quick input on what happened during COVID. We did extensive studies, and I can tell you that 75% of whatever shifted to digital channels will remain on digital channels even when COVID is over, right? So if somebody thinks that during COVID, 100 transactions moved towards the internet, and when the COVID is over, all the 100 will come back to physical, no. We have empirical evidence that 75% of whatever shifted to digital transactions during COVID, 75% of them will remain on digital platforms. Only 25% will come back to the regular transaction that we were used to before COVID. And approximately 50% of the work may move to work from home or remote location. You don't have to be physically present for most probably 50% of the work that we were doing before COVID. Yeah. And many people think this is an exaggeration. I definitely don't think this is an exaggeration. We just have to wait for another, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years time by which 50% will move out of our regular office space, right? A very quick, Cherian or anybody, if there is a question, you can ask it, because while I'm presenting, I'm not able to see the chat, right? By the way, yeah. So,
I was just asking them to type it there so that you could answer at the end.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. So the starting point, I just wanted to talk about a study that we did for Dubai government. It may sound a bit hilarious, in which we did a study looking at what can happen in Dubai in 2071. I repeat, 2071. Why we selected 2071 is because Dubai and all the Emirates came in existence in 1971, and the ruler of Dubai said that let us plan for what happens 100 years from the start that we had, and let us look at what will happen in 20. Okay, some 2 people are in the waiting room. Let me just admit them. 1 second. Yeah. We have Regimon, our Dr. Regimon is joining, and Alex Anthony is joining. Yeah. Good. So we did a study looking at how the world can look like in 2071, and then started making some adjustments to what Dubai will do as a it's not a country, more like a city, right? And I can tell you that something that is unbelievable. When I started the study, I almost felt it's a useless study to think about something in 2050, 2060, 2071. And the ruler of Dubai personally told me that, Thomas, if you look at 2030 or 2040 and you try to take decisions, you will not take the breakthrough decision. So I really want you to, so I was not convinced to do a study which will look at 2050 and 2071. I said, I'm not convinced, right? And he personally said, no, Thomas, I disagree with you. You have to look at 2050 and 2071, and I will prove it to you that you will find some new things versus doing a study just looking at 2030 and 2040. And I can tell you, we found something very interesting when we projected a bit further into the future, right? I will skip just as a context for you. When this study happened, I don't know whether you're aware, Careem and Uber was actually banned in Dubai. When the whole world had Uber launched in Dubai, it was delayed by 4 years, and it was even fined 5,000 dirham. 5,000 dirham is like 1 lakh rupees was the fine for somebody taking a Careem and an Uber. And Arthur D. Little, the company that I'm working for, was appointed by the ruler of Dubai. The Uber chairman called the ruler of Dubai and said that if you don't allow Uber, I'm going to put a huge newspaper article saying that Dubai is like full of bullshit. You are not taking care of customers and you're trying to make money, and I'm going to make a big splash that Dubai is bullshitting. So you better allow Uber. So the chairman of Uber like sort of threatened he will not get threatened, obviously, but he's a bit cranky guy, the Uber chairman, the ex-chairman, he has been thrown out of the board now, right? But so he asked ADL to do a study to say that whether we should allow Uber and Careem, right? And the way we do these type of studies is like when you try to project something into 2050 and 2071, you normally cannot take general trends and project it into the future. You cannot do that, because if you take what is happening and extrapolate that into the future, you will always get a very, very wrong result. So the way these things are done, we follow a very different methodology. For every single sector, we find out the best people in the world. For example, if you're trying to do something on healthcare, we found out that Harvard Medical College is doing the best research. We found out people who are doing research within Harvard Medical College, and they are thinking about what will happen in the next 20, 30 years. When we want to talk about logistics, we contacted Amazon, and we found out the people are doing logistics research in Amazon and predicting what may be happening in 20, 30 years from now, right? So every industry like healthcare, transport, energy, telecoms, logistics, there are fundamental basic researches that are conducted by large organizations, right? And the ruler of Dubai contacted them. We all got them into a workshop for 2 to 3 days, right? So it is more like people who have been researching and on development. So they are going to tell us what they are going to do on electric vehicle in 30 years from now. So Tesla, for example, so it's not projecting the past into the future, right? You cannot take what Toyota has done and Lexus has done and projecting it into the future. You will go and talk to Tesla and ask them, what are you planning to do in the next 10 years, right? And that we did for every single sector. Every single sector, we got the best experts. Some of the experts even costed us something like $25,000 for a day, or $50,000 for a day to come and participate in that workshop. Obviously, that was covered by the client, right? When they come in for such workshops, right? And just to give you some quick initial inputs on transportation, there was a clear agreement that by the year 2035, 2040, 95% of the vehicles will be autonomous, will not have any driver. And this is validated by almost everybody who is doing a research on electric vehicle, autonomous vehicle, driverless vehicle. That is, it's not very far away. We may think that it may take another 25, 30 years for all these vehicles to be moving around without drivers. That's not the case. People are predicting that it will happen much, much earlier than that. There are already trials happening in Dubai, in the desert, in which the whole, Dubai design district and few areas are 100% autonomous, right? The only difficulty today is when you're mixing normal drivers and autonomous vehicles, the chances of accidents are quite high. But if you eliminate human drivers and if it is fully autonomous, the technology is available today to have 100% autonomous vehicles. The problem is if you mix human beings and autonomous cars, it will not work. And that is again proving the initial point that I mentioned, that every time you bring in human beings, they create problem than creating efficiencies in the system, right? Another very quick input is that the speed of transport, what do you think will be the speed of transport in 30 years from now? People are predicting it will not be less than 350 or 300 kilometers per hour, right? That's what the prediction. So we are talking about in another 15 years, everything will be autonomous with the drivers. The speed will not be the current 120, 150, or even 200. It will be 300 and above will be the average speed of all the transportation that is happening now. Everything will be on alternate energy sources, right? We will not be using the traditional fuels that we have. Every single item in the world will be connected. That means you will have a chip on your body. Your body will be talking to your mobile, to your car, to the house, to the door, to the refrigerator, to the VCR, to the door will open, the door will have a chip, and the air conditioning will have a chip, your body will have a chip, and everything will be connected. And this is not some movie or dreams that is going on. The points that I have shown on the screen is 100% going to happen as per the experts. There's no doubt in it, saying that 50% chance it will happen or 20% chance it will happen. No, 100% chance for these things to happen. What I've shown on the screen, predicted by experts, right? Any questions on this? It means that when you start thinking that you want to go somewhere, an autonomous vehicle will come where you are, and you will take that vehicle and you will go where you want. And you don't have to go to your mobile and ask for Karim or Uber to get the vehicle. You just have to think that I have to go to the airport. Your thinking is being sensed. The artificial intelligence will predict that Thomas wants to have a very sophisticated car. The car will automatically come because it can identify your location. From your thinking, it knows that you want to go to the airport. It will go to the airport. It will open the car when it comes. There's no driver. It will open, you go in. The moment you enter the car, it knows that Thomas likes Malayalam music. It will play Malayalam music. They know that Thomas likes to read a Manorama newspaper. Manorama newspaper will be displayed on the screen. And these are 100% predictions made by people. This is not like some Star Trek movie, by the way. But again, it will take 15, 20 years. We're not talking of 2 to 3 years time, right? But why this is important is this is what is going to happen in the world that our children are going to live in. And this is how the business is going to look like, right? Everything will be a service, right? It is already a service today. For example, there is a prediction saying that we will stop owning houses, for example. Houses will be shared. You know, you will go to Dubai, stay in a house, and then you go to another place. The way Uber and Karim, the cars are being shared now, there is an expectation that your mobile will be shared, your cars will be shared, the houses will be shared. You will not own many things in life going forward. You will not own. Everything will be on a rental basis, right? Let me explain to you the difference of this, of when you mean by when it is shared. See, today, let us say a car costs 10 lakh or 50 lakh rupees for a car. Let us say it costs 50 lakhs for a car. But when a car is fully autonomous, fully digitalized, fully configurable, and it plays music and automatically, the cost of the car may be even 10 times, right? But what really happens is, so you should not be worried that the cost of the car will become 10 times because it's autonomous. Today, the cars are used only for 10% of the time. If you take any car anywhere in the world, it is not used for more than 5 to 6%. 95% of the time, the car is parked somewhere. So when the car is shared between people, the utilization moves from 10% to 90%. So even if the cost of the car becomes 10 times, the per person cost is still the same as today. You see what is happening, the economics. So you don't have to be worried that the cost of the car will become 10 times, but you will not own the car, and hence you will even pay cheaper than what you're using today, right? Economy will be shared, everything will be individualized, right? So you may say that the iPhone is a standard product. Let us say 30% of the mobile phones are iPhone, but it is prepared in a way that it can be individualized, right? So similarly, safety and security, green, healthy life will become a norm going forward, right?
Excuse me, Kuruvilla, can you check the participants? Anybody wants to join, please?
Yeah,
Oh,
there are two guys are waiting because they put on hold. They got a message.
yes, I'm asking them to join.
Sorry for the inconvenience you had.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, two people more join. Yeah, sorry. So like that, I can take many trends and explain. If anybody is interested to at least understand the outcome of the research on how things may look like by 2030, 2050, 2071, I'm happy to share the thoughts that we found out. But if we don't have the time to go through each and every item, I just explained one item on mobility or transportation, right?
Yes. If you can share maybe one more industry, it will be helpful to understand.
So so let me talk about healthcare. Healthcare. Today, 70% of the visits that we are making to the hospital today will not be required. 70%, right? You will be able to sit at home, connect to a doctor online. You will be having equipments in your house to take the regular stuff, blood test, sugar test, all of that. You will have equipment. It will be digitally connected to the internet. The doctor will see all your body, this thing. He will talk to you. He will online place medicines. Medicines will get couriered through Uber or Careem equivalent stuff. It will come to your house. You see? What you need to understand is, let me come back to the transportation. I'll come back to, and I will explain to you the savings that is going to happen because of this. When you have autonomous cars, what do you think is the savings in infrastructure? Can somebody try to guess what is the saving when we are using Careem and Uber?
Maybe close to 60 to 70%, considering the cost of the car.
So your thinking is that we will save 60 to 70% when we use Uber and Careem, correct? Now, listen to me very carefully. And I will tell you, so what you're saying is 60% higher. I'm talking about 10 times higher, 1000% higher. I'll explain to you how it works. 1000%, 10 times, not 0.5 or 0.6 times. I like that, I can take any example. So today, before Uber and Careem came, the taxis were utilized only 30 to 40% or 40 to 50%. With Uber coming in, you will have the taxis utilized by closer to 80 to 90%. So that is already 50, 60% higher. Now, when we move to autonomous vehicles, today on the road, you always leave around 3 to 4 car spaces in between cars, right? So that the road infrastructure that accommodates one car can accommodate 4 to 5 cars when it is not a human being driving the car. Because if it is digitally controlled, the distance between 2 cars can be reduced to a very minimal amount because machines are controlling it. You see? So there's already a double the usage just because you're having an Uber and Careem. Now, the 3 car space between 2 cars gets eliminated. So you can have 3 times the car on the same road. So you need 1/3 the road infrastructure for the same throughput. Correct? Now, so that means you already have 4 times efficiency. Now, on top of that, when human beings are driving the car, you can drive at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour today in Dubai. When it is autonomous, it can easily go to 250. So that 4 times has become 8 times. You see where I'm coming from? So just on this simple example, you should have realized that the efficiency is not 50, 60%. It is 7 to 8 times throughput for the same road. And there is a decision taken in Dubai based on this study to stop the road constructions by 2035. because the road transportation can handle double or triple the efficiency, and you don't need more roads because of the point that I mentioned. And this is exactly what the ruler of Dubai said, Thomas, unless you look at 2030 or 2040, you will never get this thinking. If you look at 2025, you can never think like this. You see where I'm coming from, right? And based on that, we looked at multiple scenarios. And I don't know if you understand, in Dubai, everything is more related to people owning a car. We are completely changing the regulation in Dubai so that people will not own a car. It is more public mobility. You are going to tax people for owning a car very soon. In another 4 or 5 years, people will be taxed. You are forced people to not own your own car. You will move to public mobility, shared mobility, and all of that, right? Let me skip some of this, right? So as I told you, the road infrastructure is going to completely change, right? We have stopped building parking spaces in Dubai 5 to 6 years from now, because if you are not going to park the cars for 90% of the time, you have excess parking today. So in 10 years from now, you will not need the current parking. It is going to be removed. The physical signages today is going to be eliminated in 10 to 12 years time, because you need to have dynamic routing. So your routing will be shown on the car dashboard. You don't need the signage on the road, because when you paint, this is the road to Abu Dhabi, it is a permanent painting telling you go straight from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. It's a fixed painting. This is going to become irrelevant in another 5 to 6 years time. So all the signages are going to be removed in Dubai in the next 5, 6, 7 years, because it is dynamically routing, it is autonomous. The mobile or the car will be telling you that this is how to go to Abu Dhabi or Dubai, and you don't have to look at the road signs, because the road signs is not dynamic. It is a fixed road sign, right? So I can give you many more examples, right? The hospital, as I told you, right? For the same hospital infrastructure will be able to cater to 3 to 4 times the number of patients. 3 to 4 times. We already did that in Mediclinic, for example. They're handling 3 times the patients that they used to handle in the past. People have to enter all the data over their laptop. You don't have to go into the queue. You don't go to the reception. You straight away go to the doctor if it is required. If you don't have to meet the doctor, you do it online, right? So that is already happening in multiple buildings in Dubai. There is already dynamic routing of parking. For example, I'll give you one very interesting example that's happening in parking. Today, parking is always fixed, allocated. In a building in Dubai today, they will identify the people who are frequently coming to their apartment, and they will give them a parking which is very near the lift. Yeah. Somebody, let me admit somebody 1 second. Yeah. So today there are multiple buildings in which the parking is dynamically allocated, and they will understand that Thomas Kuruvilla comes to his house only once in a month. He's always traveling. They will dynamically give me a parking lot which is very far away from the lift, because I can afford to walk for 10 minutes, but I'm walking only once in a month to my house, right? So the parking is dynamically allocated and all of that, for example, right? And there are many buildings that the curtains are automatically opened, the air condition is opened and closed. It senses that you're coming to the lift. It senses from your mobile. The air conditioning is adjusted, the lift is adjusted, the doors are adjusted, the curtains are adjusted, everything is automatically. And there is approximately a savings of 35 to 40% savings on energy cost, by the way, right? Do you believe that there are telecom companies today which you cannot talk to anybody? You cannot talk to anybody for this company called Simeo. It is only over the internet. You go to the internet, you configure the phone. iPhone allows eSIM, so you don't need the physical SIM. You go order online, the phone connection is made, and the phone starts working. If it doesn't work, you can only chat. You cannot talk to people, and it is 30 to 40% cheaper. It is 10 times better, and there is no human intervention. You cannot talk to anybody if you have taken a phone service from this company, right? Similarly, I can talk about 1 second. Do you know, because of online food ordering, the throughput of restaurants are easily 3 to 4 times already. The same kitchen which was producing 10 and serving 10 biryanis today are doing 30 to 40 biryanis, for example. 50% of the education is supposed to shift to remote education, for example, right? So every single sector, there are fundamental changes happening by which the cost, the efficiency is going to be 3 to 4 times in the next 10 to 12 years time, right? I can quickly go to the metaverse. This is the summary I wanted to talk about digitalization. The point I'm trying to make is that the impact of digitalization is very, very, very significant. And I have given you some 3 to 4 examples across 3 to 4 sectors. I can give more examples if there is any interest. If not, I can quickly shift to the metaverse topic. Yeah. Any other quick questions on this?
Kuruvilla, considering our time limitation, we should proceed. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Just give me a second. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see.
You see a screen which shows metaverse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So let me just explain to you a little bit about from digitalization to moving on to metaverse, the concept of metaverse. Metaverse is, you will not be able to distinguish between physical and virtual world. That is the pure definition of metaverse, right? Something will be in the physical world and something will be in the virtual world, and it is not distinguishable in the pure sense of metaverse. And there is a very strong belief that 15 to 20% of the economy will move to the metaverse in, let us say, 10 years time, right? It will be, you will not be able to distinguish between the physical and the virtual world, and around 15 to 20% of the transactions, it's not the current transactions. You will be actually buying real estate, virtual real estate. It is not buying a proper real estate in an e-commerce world. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about you'll actually buy a car, a virtual real estate, a virtual jacket, a virtual watch, a virtual, everything is virtual. It is not even physical. It is virtual, right? It is not real. And that is expected to be around 15 to 20% of the economy. In Dubai, already 2.3% of real estate transactions are happening on the metaverse, on the virtual. It doesn't even exist. It is just you're buying it on a virtual world. 2.3% of real estate transactions already happening. It is like unbelievable, right? Do you know that today we spend more time in the digital world than the physical world? Do you believe it? This is actual data. If you exclude the time that our kids are sleeping and you take the balanced time they're spending today in their life, they spend more than 50% of the time in the digital world versus the physical world, right? So if you want to do business, it means that you have to do the business in the digital world, because they're spending 50% of the time in the digital world and you have to catch the attention there, right? That's what it means, right? Let me move this quite quickly, because I think we can have some time for Q&A, right? The point is that people, again, may be underestimating what is happening on the metaverse, what will happen in the metaverse. This is the slide I was talking about. You actually spend more time on the digital world versus the physical world, right? Now, what is metaverse, or what is the difference between the current web and the web 3.0? Today, the web 2.0 is a centralized web. The transactions are centralized. You have to go through an intermediate bank or a payment agent or an Amazon or a warehouse. In the metaverse, it is completely decentralized. You don't have to go through any agent, which means there is at least a 10 to 15% cost for the intermediary transactions and physical interactions, which is getting eliminated when you go to the Web 3.0, when it is decentralized and based on blockchain. And on a blockchain, you cannot have a fraudulent transaction. It may be very difficult to believe it, but it is a fact. It is a blockchain transaction. You cannot do a fraudulent transaction. If you do a fraudulent transaction, it can be caught. And because of that, people will be much more encouraged to do digital transactions in the 3.0 or the metaverse, and the cost of interfaces will be completely eliminated, right? So this is the same point. What happens is that you are much more in control. It is not like Amazon or Facebook or anybody controlling. That is why Facebook went into the Meta and all of that, because they will not be able to control you anymore when it is fully decentralized, right? When it is centralized, you have this Amazon and Facebook and WhatsApp and all of them controlling you, which is not going to be the case in maybe 10 years time, right? And you will be able to sell your own products directly to the whole world without an interface in between, right? I can sell my services directly. I don't have to go through any platform. That is the meaning of decentralization and the token-based transaction, right? It will be much more immersive and collaborative. It will be social. You will not be able to distinguish between the physical and the... When the internet evolved, there were at least 7 to 8 different internets, right? You had Netscape and many other things. The same thing is happening in metaverse today. Today, you may have 10, 15, 16 different metaverses. My personal view is it will exactly become like internet. You will have only 1 or 2, maybe 2 metaverses in the whole world, right? Maybe one may be dominated by the Chinese group of people controlled by China, and the rest of the world may be one metaverse. So it will become completely interoperable, which is not the case today. And it is almost like what happened with internet, right? When the internet started, you had at least 15, 20, 30 browsers, and today it is all getting combined into 2 to 3, and it is all interoperable, which is definitely going to happen in the metaverse also, right? I will quickly run through some examples. I don't want to overload you. It is more than 10, 15 examples, but just to give you a feeling of what is happening on the metaverse. When you sit on a flight, what is the biggest problem today? You feel very congested. But with the launch of metaverse, I actually went through a trial run of this. You fix the virtual reality and you don't feel claustrophobic or space constrained. You're actually feeling very relaxed in a flight, for example, and people are feeling much more comfortable to be in a flight. It is the impact of metaverse. You don't even feel like you are in a flight. And that is the biggest problem when you sit in an economy class, by the way. So even the flights, there are already significant changes that is happening when you have the virtual realities connected in the flight. You feel as if you're sitting at home and the cabin is being taken care. There are multiple tourism that is happening on the metaverse. Japan Airlines does crew training and everything over the metaverse, nothing physical. The savings are more than 50% for training. There are multiple physical airports in which you create 100% digital twin, and you're doing maintenance and everything in the digital twin. And once everything is done, it is implemented on the real equipment, right? So when you do the maintenance, when you're analyzing what is happening, you're not actually doing that on the physical equipment. You're doing it on the digital equipment, and then you're transferring it to the actual equipment. You just transfer the whole software to the real equipment, right? But you're not experimenting on real equipment, right? There are healthcare, there are patient treatments, there are operations that is happening over the metaverse, heart treatment that is happening over the metaverse. There is vaccine manufacturing process happening on the metaverse. People are buying Gucci bags for $3,000 and $4,000 on the metaverse. It is not even a physical bag. Let me explain to you the concept. It may sound very hilarious. So today, when you go and talk to your girlfriend or your boyfriend, it is a metaverse, and you can buy a Gucci watch, which is physical, but it is tokenized, and Gucci will tell you that you paid $4,000 for this. But they did not give you any watch. You are just sitting in a virtual metaverse room, having a coffee with your girlfriend or boyfriend, and you will come in a virtually purchased BMW car. You don't have it physically. The person who is sitting across you knows that you paid significant amount for that virtual car that you used to come to the restaurant. They will know that you are wearing a digital virtual Rolex watch that is not physical, and you have a date on the metaverse. It is really happening. So it is not what we think about. You are actually paying more value, and because they're very smart, Gucci and Rolex are very smart, they're making it very, very limited edition, and the price is higher than a normal bag. I'm not kidding, it is real. It is higher than a normal bag, and they kept the editions very limited, and you cannot fake it because it is purchased using a digital token. So you cannot fake it, right? Again, there are so many examples like that. Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, they're doing it. I'm sure that all of you are aware of very large trade fairs, aeroplane trade fairs, car trade fairs. The cost of these trade fairs runs in hundreds or tens of millions of dollars, and now they're doing it virtually, right? Imagine the efficiencies you are having in those things, right? Let me skip some of these slides and quickly get into, I have lots of examples, right? In Dubai, they have decided to create a digital replica of Dubai city. Digital replica of Dubai city. Let me explain to you what it means. Let me allow 2 more people to come in 1 second. Yeah. Okay. What happens is they will build in the digital twin of Dubai. So that is why you have to understand that when I said that you cannot distinguish between the physical and the virtual world, listen to my explanation and then you will start understanding what I'm saying. Dubai has mandated that you will have to put all your physical assets in the metaverse. So you will create a metaverse which will replicate the current Dubai. Then tomorrow, if MR wants to build a new tower, it has to create the new tower virtually in the metaverse, right? So you will have a physical building which is replicated in the metaverse, and something that is not yet existent is digitally put next to it, digitally. And you will be able to digitally get into that building and have a view of how it will look like. And you cannot cheat the customer. You have to digitally take him into the metaverse, into a building that is constructed digitally. You will be able to see what you get. You will be able to sign a contract, legally valid contract in the metaverse. And when the building is finished, if it doesn't look like what they have shown you in the metaverse, you can sue MR. You can sue the real estate provider for giving you something that did not look like how it was shown in the metaverse. And what will happen is then Dubai government will say, MR, tell me which buildings you are going to prepare in 2022, 23, 24, 25. So you have to put all of that in the metaverse, right? Now you can simulate how Dubai will look like in 2025. You see the difference now. Today, there's nothing existing like that today. But if you make it mandatory that 100% of Dubai should be put in the digital world, everything that you're going to build, the roads and the houses and the cars, for you to get an approval to build the road, for you to get an approval to build the house, for you to get the approval to build the real estate, you have to create a digital replica in the metaverse. So that means somebody can go to the metaverse and say, how does Dubai look like in 2025? You see how it works. So this is the philosophy of, there is no barrier or segregation between digital and virtual world in that, because it's a mixture of digital physical replication and digital things in the same environment, right? And they also have implemented a regulator. So there is a regulator that you cannot go to the metaverse and sign a contract. You can be sued and taken to jail if you sign something on the metaverse on a digital asset, right? Let me skip. These are a bit more technical topics about the metaverse. If somebody is interested on the IT side, I can get into that, but it explains how it cannot be cheated. How can you tokenize, and what is the philosophy of a token linked transaction which cannot be fraudulent, right? It gets into a little bit technical, but it is more interesting in case somebody is interested to do that. And the last point I want to talk about is that you need to be very careful in the metaverse about privacy. The regulation is not going to allow people to keep a lot of data, because look at what is happening. In the metaverse, people can understand everything that is happening to you, because your blood, your wherever you're going, where you're going to do, even your future movements are being predicted, right? Your facial expressions can be captured, the algorithms, your thinking. If you're thinking very angry about the Dubai ruler, he will predict and tell you, oh, Thomas, you're thinking bad about me, and he can catch you. You see the implications of the metaverse, because your facial expressions, your thinking, your brain is connected to a chip. So in your brain, when you think that I want to bomb Dubai, they will know. And you may not be given an option in 10 years from now that if you want to live in Dubai, you have the option not to come to Dubai. But if you come to Dubai, I'm going to put a chip on your brain and you cannot say no to it. You understand the implications of this. So the regulation related to this is very, very, very important, right? And the good thing and the bad thing about metaverse is if everything is not in the metaverse, then it is not complete and it doesn't work anymore. So Dubai government is going to make it mandatory that everything has to be in the metaverse. Otherwise, you will not get all the benefits. And now you will lose a lot of privacy. You see, so you get a lot of benefits. You save a lot of cost. You can do a lot of things in life, but you are getting really exposed. People you cannot hide anywhere once you get into this metaverse, right? Let me stop it here. I have many more examples, and then we can get into a Q&A, right? Just one slide here. This is very, very interesting data. Normally, when you look at any data, you normally see Japan, US, United Kingdom on the top in any chart. Look at this chart. It is at the bottom. The reason is metaverse is enabling transactions to be very, very cheap. So the countries that have lower income have significantly adopted metaverse or digital transactions because for them, the cost is a very important item. And it is very surprising to see that countries like Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, United Arab Emirates have done much more adoption than, developed economies like Japan, UK, and United States. It is also a proof that the metaverse and digital transaction is increasing efficiency, it is reducing the cost, and the poor people can participate more versus what used to happen before digitalization and metaverse. Yeah, I stop here.
Thank you, Kuruvilla, for showing us this new world. However, I'm sure all of us would have some specific question. I will start with one question.
Sure.
What would be the impact of metaverse on the education industry?
So there is the quality and the content of what is going to be taught is going to be significantly higher than what we are getting today. Because you don't have to physically travel to the UK or the US to study, it is much cheaper, right? See, the problem is when we used to do, let us say, practical laboratories and all of that, you had to have a physical stuff. But with virtual reality and metaverse, you can almost start doing physical things in the metaverse. You see, so the cost of education will come down significantly, right? The content, since it is digitally produced, it becomes much more cheaper, right? When you're printing a book, let us say a book used to cost 100 rupees. Tomorrow, the book will cost you only 1 rupee because it is digitally prepared and circulated, right? So there is absolutely no doubt that the access to education, the content of education, the quality of education, and the cost of education will come down significantly. The only problem is that you may lose out on the physical interactions, right?
Okay.
So most probably when digital education is legally allowed, they will still force some percentage of physical interactions with your classmates and travel and all of that, because the human element will get neglected otherwise.
So
yeah.
Are you saying that overall with metaverse, the cost of everything we like education, healthcare, services, including banking and all kinds of services, the cost of services would drastically drop once nations across the world adopt metaverse?
Absolutely. Let me give you one drastic example. Let me give you one or two examples. I'm giving you the drastic ones. the cost of banking will become not even 1% of what is happening today. Not even 1%. It is less than 1%. If today, if the banking is costing you 100 rupees, in 10 years from now, it will not even cost you 1 rupee. Not even. Okay. Now, which industry do you think got impacted by autonomous vehicles? Give me an example.
Autonomous vehicles, yeah.
Yeah, driverless cars. Which industry you think got impacted the highest?
It would be mostly the automobile industry. Definitely they will be manufacturing cars, but we may not need as many cars as we have to. That is number one. Number two, probably
okay. Go ahead.
Probably the industry where we have the Ubers and the Olas and all that.
Okay, so let me give you an example, right? See, technically, whether it will go, see, what I said is that the automotive, the economic value of the automotives may not change a lot because the cars is expected to become 10 times more costlier because it's extremely sophisticated, but you will need 10 times less car. But the whole insurance for cars gets completely wiped out. Because if it is autonomous and it is sophisticated, the chances of accident is very less. Why is the insurance cost 3% of a car today or 5% of a car today? Because they're making an assumption that in the overall scheme of things, 3% or 4% is always going towards repair from accidents. It has already been proven that once it is fully automated, the accident cost will not be even 0.1%. The insurance industry for car will get wiped out. It will be zero, almost close to zero. So our understanding, you really need to think very deep to understand the implications. The implications are somewhere else.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. See, there are two ways to look at it, Cherian. See, when you say that the cost is going down, it need not be cost going down. You will get 10 times the service for the same price. So when I said that healthcare cost went down by 50%, I really don't think that will happen. What will really happen is today you are spending 100 rupees to get a particular healthcare. We will not spend less than 100 rupees in the future, but for the same 100 rupees, you will get double or triple the health security for yourself. You see what is happening, right?
Yeah.
So none of the industry will collapse. Healthcare will remain, but the throughput will be much more. You see what I'm trying to explain to you, right?
Value addition will be there. A lot of more value addition will happen. Right?
Exactly. See, look at Uber, right? Again, I know it's very simple, but this simple examples explain to you. Today, before Uber came, my house in Trivandrum, from the airport to my home, they used to charge me 800 rupees. Today, they are charging me 200 rupees. And the driver is also making more money because per day, he used to make 2 trips from the airport. Today, he makes 10 trips. So the driver makes more money. I pay 1/4 and my cost is cheaper. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. Is there any other question from anybody else?
Kuruvilla.
Yes.
You told that no industry will be collapsed.
No industry. There may be some industries. It is more like when you have the digital camera, Kodak collapsed, right? So some industries will become irrelevant. Like for example, in car insurance will become irrelevant, for example, right? So there may be some sectors will start becoming a bit irrelevant. Yeah.
No, by 2030 or 2071, you also told that infrastructure there will be not much needed in that stage. Is it correct? Road is not to be developed.
Correct. That's correct.
For example, cement industry will be collapsed. Is it correct?
No. See, what happens is
sharing of houses, infrastructure will be not needed. Now, in that way, surely there will.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. The requirement of steel, cement, and all of that will be reduced by the time you reach 2030, 2040, because assuming population is not going to increase, population is not going to increase. I'm 100% sure of that. 100% sure.
Kuruvilla Anil.
Yeah.
See, your studies are based on small population countries like, but what about India, which is still more than 50% cash economy? And countries like China or bigger population countries, when this will come into effect?
See, just give me a second. There's a flight going on top. Just the only debate is the timeline. So
correct.
India and China maybe 10, 15 years, 20 years delayed. That's so. You are right. You're absolutely right. Right. See, but so whatever happened in the US or developed economies happens in India or China later. But let me give you a counter argument also. I don't know whether you have realized that. Let us take the case of healthcare. I don't know how many people are in healthcare today. Because of digitalization, I am involved in multiple projects as a consultant for healthcare in remote Indian villages. So listen to me to understand the impact of countries in India and China. In the past, if you wanted to give a small medicine to a remote village, you had to drive a car for 10 kilometers. Today, it is being delivered by drones. So you have to see, there is also a very wrong, metaverse and digitalization is actually better for the poor people than the rich people. Both of them are benefiting, but the poorer people are benefiting much more. Look, see, healthcare cost is coming down, education cost is coming down. When the healthcare cost, education cost is coming down, the poor people benefit more than the rich people. There are many, many villages in India that are being served using drones much cheaper than delivering it using a vehicle. In the city, it doesn't because in a city, one car is going to give medicine to a city or a city with 100,000 people. But in a village, there is one person getting sick. You cannot drive. When you put a drone, he will take the medicine and drop it in the village. You see, it's really happening. It is cheaper, right? And the cost of drones and remote sense drones, it's going to come down drastically. Look at solar power. Solar power cost has come down by, it has become 10% versus what was the case 15 years back. 15 years back today. If you look at phone call, right? Charges has dropped to 5%. Similarly, the cost of drones, of dropping things autonomous will become 1/10 versus today, right? So you have to really think through the sector to understand. There are cases in which the poor villages in India and China will benefit more than New York when you have digitalized drones delivering medicines, for example. Or people are studying from their home. A poor person can sit in a village and he can study, right? He doesn't have to go to a city. He doesn't have to stay in a hotel. He doesn't have to take a car. He will study now, right? Education is recorded. So the kids can work during the day. I'm not saying they should work. It is inappropriate, but they can at least study in the night, because earlier you had to go to the school, but now the school is recorded. It is in the metaverse. You study in the night. So the poor person can study in the night and work in the daytime, you see. So the impact is not, it is more for the poor people, by the way. But you said, Anil, what you asked is very, very relevant for the very sophisticated services where the population density matters a lot. It will be much, much slower in India and China. But I have a feeling that it will be much faster than what we are thinking. It will be much faster because it will become stupid not to do these things.
But one thing, Kuruvilla, when it is automated, where goes the motivation? People have to be motivated. Yes. The kids has to be motivated for studies. Or everywhere that personal factor, it goes missing, the entire thing will go into an automation stage. You got my point.
I completely got your point. So let me show you Okay, I had hidden some slides. So anyway, let me explain to you. Let me just open a presentation, right? Just give me a second. See, do you see this green and healthy and local life on this slide? Can you see my slide?
Yeah.
Usage, consumer behavior, and trends, correct? You saw that, right?
No, what I am saying, we should bring up
I'm coming to
kids
that point.
or yeah.
No, I'm just wanted to be sure that you're seeing a right slide to explain the point. Can you see a slide which is usage, consumer behavior, trends? You can see that slide, right?
Yes, yes.
Correct. See, when we discussed this topic with the ruler of Dubai, you see the right-hand column, safety, security, green and healthy and local life is a mandatory component of the strategy. Mandatory component. It was mandatory when we designed the digital space. We are forcing people to have a green life. Let me give you one very interesting example in Arthur Digital in our own company, and you may laugh at what I'm going to say. And this will come into play because the concern that you're raising is very important, but we will have to put in regulations to address that, and people are already addressing it, right? I don't know whether you're aware of a NEOM city, for example, that is being designed. It's so theoretical. So they're designing healthy spaces, green environment, and people will be monitored that whether you're moving around in green, healthy space. In Arthur D. Little, let me tell you, when we are a consulting firm, right? 3 months into consulting, we could feel that our consultants are becoming a bit lethargic. They are not behaving properly because they are sitting in front of the computer and all of that. We purchased an app. The flight is going through my head. Just a second. Okay. So let me just give you an example of 2 to 3 things that we did in Arthur D. Just 2 to 3 very minor things. We used to have breakfast for everybody in the office on Thursday is the equivalent to Friday in Dubai, right? The weekend was Saturday, Sunday at that time, right? So every Thursday, we allowed everybody to order breakfast in their own hometown from the costliest restaurant and charge it to the company and have breakfast together through a digitally connected system. So I can sit in Trivandrum, order a breakfast from Taj, right? And it will be charged to the company. But the condition of me charging it to the company is I have to have breakfast with my colleagues online. So we forced that because we said, people, guys, we need to meet each other. Number 2, everybody was given an Apple watch. We linked their physical activity into an app created by Arthur D. Little. And people who are not having a physical activity sensed by the phone, the bonus was reduced. I repeat, it was in their performance evaluation system, Anil. So in the past, our bonus was linked to client satisfaction, profitability. We put 10% of the bonus was linked to the activity on your Apple Watch. And you could not manipulate it. It was purchased by Arthur D. Little. We gave it to you for free. You are mandated to wear it on your hand. At the end of 1 week, if you're not showing any activities, the HR will call you, Thomas, for the last 1 week, your Apple Watch is not showing any activity, right? So, Anil, the point that you mentioned is extremely important. And we have to very, very, very consciously address that. We have to. But assuming that the metaverse and digitalization will not happen, that I don't agree. But people are very aware of the consequences, and the governments are implementing things so that the consequences doesn't happen. Because I'm now teaching in IIM Bangalore, right? When we were teaching in IIM Bangalore, they first shifted everything to online. Now you have to, it is mandatory to have 50%, they have to come to the class, and 50% it is, you can do it online. So all these are considered when we design the whole world as we move forward. And Dubai government is also doing that, right? They will, when we are predicting, we are going to, see, let me tell you, I did not want to get into very technical aspects of it. When we are designing the NEOM city, we are designing an ability to test people for their activity level and oxygen level in their blood. And if people are not active, they can be penalized, they can be taxed. You see, this is the level of thinking that is happening to address the concern that you mentioned earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one question, Mr.
Yes,
Thomas?
please.
Yes.
Okay. My questions are a little bit different because I'm not very in digitally very much that experience.
Sure.
What is going to happen about the human emotions and creativity? It means then whole world will be managed by human. There's nothing will be like natural process, how everything goes. So they're going to create human some sort of thing. The world is going in and the natural process is going to break. Human is going to drive the world in their wishes, where humans are creating the problem. Then we have to go for the solving the problem. Earlier people, they don't have the sickness. Now the sickness has increased in America. 100% people are sick in variety types of sickness. So where will be your peace of life? Where will be your creativity? Where will be your feelings? And how many years you will be living? There should be peaceful life. Where is going to come?
See, let me explain to you how this issue is being handled. Okay, how much time can I answer this? Because these are 5-6 different components to answer.
No, but ultimately, I'm asking because I'm not the expert.
No. So
Finally, at the end of the day, I want to sleep 8 hours. My feelings are good. My health are good. I'm not visiting the hospital. I'm waking up without any stress and everything is going pattern. So now if I want to try to add up all these things managed by somebody else, so I have to be driven by machine, there's a part I'm thinking.
No, that's not. So first of all, to start with, the creativity of people are going to be more. Let me explain to you why. Today, if you are creative and you create something to get it out to the world, do you think when Amazon came out and e-commerce came out, and let us say Zomato is delivering food, do you have more creativity in food or less creativity in food? It is more. Let me explain.
I know the creativity. Living in this part of the world, you don't need that much food. You need the fresh air. You need the fresh sunlight, and you need minimum food. Now you are having too many food. You have too many difficulties.
No. So let me explain to you. Okay, I have to connect multiple points to cover the topic that you're mentioning, because this itself can take 1 hour of discussions. Because
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, but these are the topics that we discussed for days and days together when we are doing such strategy. To start with, the moment you are digitalizing and you are pushing things into the metaverse, the requirement for centralized cities are reducing. You see, so look at today, I'm sitting in Trivandrum in an open space. I spend more time in a fresh air place than the stupid congested Dubai. So the argument of that we are going to be in more polluted area, I'm sorry to say, it is completely wrong. If we digitalize, if we go to the metaverse, if you're able to order things digitally, if things are going to be delivered to your house, you don't have to be sitting in a city. You can go and sit in areas with more sunlight and fresh air.
Agree.
If you see where I'm sitting now, you will laugh. I'm sitting on the side of a swimming pool with 3 acres of land around it and having a conference call. This is how I do all my conference calls.
Wow.
3 acres of land around me with fresh air. This is impossible in the past, right? Now, that is one thing. So you have to understand that the creativity will increase because people can sit in a small village and create something very creative and publish it, and people will buy it. Number one. In the past, you could not have done that. nobody will buy it because nobody knows you're sitting in a village in Kerala and manufacturing some good thing. So the market, the globe becomes your market. You can be very creative. You can sell your stuff. You can actually start working remotely. You can sit where you are comfortable, where your health is better, where the pollution is lesser, whether everything is good. Now, 4, you are now, this is a privacy issue. You are continuously monitored for your health, continuously monitored. Not that your blood pressure is checked once in 2 days or once in 3 days. You will be continuously monitored. That is, I don't know whether it is good or bad. So even your thinking, your happiness, your mood can be checked, and people can take actions towards that. But are you saying that are we not going to become more digitalized and automated? I think if it is handled properly, we actually get much more time to do things that we wanted to do in life. That's my personal opinion. Things are becoming, you don't have to work the 10-15 hours that you used to work in the past. You don't have to. So that is happening in countries like Norway and Sweden and all of that, right? When the cost of living comes down, people like us in India who are working very hard, I think it will change. I have a sincere belief that this, if handled properly, will actually lead to a better place. But you have to handle it properly.
Just, I agree with this. I first appreciate the presentation, which one is really, it is opening up my mind, and it is very interesting, which we should know exactly what's been happening. Recently, you know, that I'm trying to tell you, Japan is a country where there's a train is not even 1 second late. People become all mechanized. Do you know that lately they have came out with the government rules? Every week they have to attend a class where they have to cry because their feelings levels are dead. Yeah, I will send you the journal.
I know,
because they become so expert in their everything. By 1 second difference, train you cannot catch. They become machine. The feelings levels are not there. Emotions levels are not there. It is become like a machine. Now they have realized that it is through their suicide levels are increasing to a different level, and
correct.
the people are not happy. Now the government found with some expert that you have to rebuild up their emotion level whereby they can be normal. To do this one, they made a mandatory rules. Every week, 1 day, they have to go for a cry session, and the tear has to come. So when the tear is going to come, he is going to feel better and he will to behave like human. I don't know, because a lot of informations are coming. So I brought the things to your attention.
No, this is very,
that's the part for my understanding I'm sharing.
See, I can again give you, see, what you're saying is up. See, the only point I'm trying to make here is that the concern that we are raising, it is not unknown. For example, in Dubai, see, today we are covered by health insurance today, right? We have health insurance.
Right.
We are actually working with the Dubai Health Authority, right, to come up with the insurance scheme, and the insurance scheme will be applicable to people who have convinced us that they are doing exercise.
Wow.
Yes. So it is already implemented, my friend. In 5 years from now, I am personally working on that. And let me tell you how the insurance scheme is changing. Today, the whole insurance scheme is encouraging people to get sick. Correct? Because they make money.
Yes. Mandatory.
Now,
they're giving medicine. Yeah.
Correct. Now, let me tell you the insurance scheme. We are officially implementing this in Saudi Arabia now. The insurance scheme is a treatment amount per patient. You can just Google and find out. You can just do a Google and say Ayurveda treatment is covered by insurance in Dubai already. I did that project. Arthur D. Little did that project, and we convinced the government that you people are so idiotic. Your insurance is covering only when you fall sick. For God's sake, please allow insurance to cover a good Ayurvedic massage. Since for the last 3 years, every time I go to a registered Ayurvedic massage, I claim it from insurance. Insurance pays for it, right? Now, similarly, there is going to be a new regulation that you have to prove to us that you have done exercise for 20 minutes a day. you have done X and Y, Z. If you don't do this, I'm not going to give you insurance.
Agree. You're right.
Yeah, you see where I'm coming from. So
I understand.
the points that all of you are raising are extremely valid, but this is very seriously being considered. Very seriously being considered, right?
Yeah, we are just heading towards, what we are trying to do. We are heading, it's like, I'm not going to go much more discussion about the medical science, because the genetically deformed children have been increasing day by day. Why? Because they are not going the normal process. Nature's process being defected, and we have been generating this thing. So I think we should not go for that discussion. I must say thank you very much for your mind-blowing presentation. We'll learn something, inshallah. We in future will be able to benefit from it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, I think, Kuruvilla, it is time for us to wind up. So
Sure.
I know we all have many. I'm sure we are all ready to attend maybe 2 or 3 follow-up sessions like this for us to pick up more and understand more. So I'm sure you will be very much okay to help us with that understanding. Probably over a period of the next 6 months, maybe we can have a few more sessions if you are okay with it. And
I'm absolutely fine. Talking to my classmates is always a pleasure, man.
Sure. It is really rewarding, and we are going to learn. It is very important what is happening, and I must say thank you very much. We cannot just sit idle. We have to know exactly what's happening. That's a great thing. I must appreciate.
So could you please say your closing words before I thank you and close this session?
Sorry, whom did you ask? I missed it.
You want to say something more before we conclude?
No, I just wanted. I'm repeating one topic that I think, in spite of all what we are discussing, we are underestimating the speed at which these things will evolve and get impacted. We are still underestimating. This will come much faster than what we think. And we need to be a bit more prepared. And the questions that Mr. Mansoor and Lizard Anthony and all of them are asking, and Manoj are asking, these are very, very relevant points, right? Because if you don't handle the softer aspects of people development, education, kids, and all of that, then it will go into a disaster. But wherever these strategies are being developed and being discussed with the government and all of that, these are given very, very, very serious thoughts. And the regulation is being implemented along with this so that we maintain our healthy life going forward. So it is not that people are ignoring these things. They give a lot of importance to this, but still we cannot predict everything. So something that cannot be predicted, then obviously we cannot do anything, right? So there's a very important role for all of us to play when this whole transformation is happening.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Kuruvilla. Yes.
Thank you, Kuruvilla. Very thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to say a few more things about Kuruvilla. He spends, I came to know that he spends some time in natural farming and Ayurvedic plants. He is very fond of many things which is related to nature. And we are all very proud of you, Kuruvilla, for being where you are and raising the flag high for Essechians. I'm sure your contribution to all of us today has been extremely important. For myself, I just came to, I've been reading about Metaverse a little bit, but I could not understand the impact and the scale of what Metaverse is. And today you opened my mind to that. And I'm extremely grateful. I'm sure equally everyone in this call today has benefited a lot. We will follow through with you. We will allow everyone to ask questions.
Hello.
To time limitation, let us conclude this call. Thank you so much for being part of this wonderful first Essech talk. And we will be having many more from Kuruvilla over the next couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Really pleasure meeting you. Are you in Dubai? We will be in touch also with you, and we'll share our views also. Thank you, Cheria.
Kuruvilla, 1 minute. Kuruvilla, recently there was a Metaverse wedding happened in Dubai, right? The first Metaverse wedding.
There was a Metaverse wedding. That's correct.
So
Yeah.
how it is? It is a hall. They will arrange a hall. I mean,
No. It is on the metaverse. See, the way it is that it is in the metaverse. People are actually sitting at home. It is arranged. The food is delivered at your home, and then they connect everything together, and you will get a feeling. You can, even though you're sitting at home, you can decide that in the marriage hall, I'm sitting next to James Matthew and Cherian Matthew, and that is fixed. So you see, so it's very funny, right? You can decide to watch a football game in the metaverse, but within the metaverse, you can decide that only Essecians are in the stadium. So the stadium it's a live telecast of the football match, but in the stadium you will see only Essecians. It is an amazing feeling, by the way. You cannot amazing, right? So that means when you're watching football, an Essech metaverse football is going on at TKM College of Engineering. Metaverse is going on, and and food is being delivered. Drinks are being delivered online if you order in advance. So drinks comes, you drink it. In the metaverse, you can see James Matthew drinking next to you. It's fun, man.
it will come to your home.
Yes, but that you have to order in advance. In Dubai, when the wedding was arranged, they said you have to place your order 48 hours in advance, right? Otherwise, the food cannot come at that time, right? So people had to say what I want, right? And whoever is arranging the wedding paid for everything, right? And the food will come in advance, right? Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. We'll see you again. Take care. Good night.
Mansoor, good to meet you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
At
much.
the end of the day, you have to sleep peacefully.
No, inshallah, we are trying. This will be our group. And inshallah, with the Cherian and everybody, we can make a group and we'll be able to start discussing
Sure.
what comes to
I
our
like your
mind.
question. I like your question of peaceful sleeping at the end of the day.
Yes. At the end of the day, peaceful sleep is important. Great. Nice meeting you all of you. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Kuruvilla, bye.
Okay, good
bye.
night.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.